Good evening, America, and good afternoon, Australia. You're back on Radio Tony, listening to Toni Lontis, and we are back on Everyday Business with the Power of You and John Williams. But before I get on with the rest of the show, just welcoming you all back from the Christmas break and the festive season. I know for some people that Christmas time can be really, really difficult, and John and I intend to chat a little bit about that today. So, just a reminder, you can always catch up on Radio Tony Everyday Business from directly from the website, radiotony.com, and anything that you hear from John today. There's lots of information on his website, which is Andreia.Solutions. And just a reminder, it is Andreia.Solutions. No .com, no .net, no .org, Andreia.Solutions. So, we've been talking over successive shows rather, about the Andreia method and its power to help people make a change. And before we get into that topic today, John and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Christmas funk, which is an apt description of what some people go through over Christmas in the absence of our normal routine. Combine with that the pressure of Christmas relationships, family get togethers, a bit of financial stress. And this year, you add to that what has been, pardon the French, but a crappy 2020. I can honestly say that for me, and I'm not speaking alone, 2020 has been challenging on so many levels. Not only did we have to contend with a worldwide pandemic, but there's been general instability across many countries, in terms of many things, from political to economic. And on a personal level, for me, it's been an incredibly hard year dealing with ongoing family dysfunction and trying to navigate and manage boundaries and my own mindset around these challenges. And so I want to introduce you today to my friend, the amazing John Williams from Andreia Solutions. And we'll be talking further on his created method called the Andreia method. But before we do, we talked earlier and both of us suffered what we call a Christmas funk. And for John, that was particularly hard to navigate. And I really appreciate John coming on the show this morning and being willing to be vulnerable enough to talk about this stuff because we feel it's important. Good afternoon, John.
Yes, it is afternoon, Tony. It is afternoon here and evening in America. So
Yes,
it depends on what part of the world you're in. So yes, it has been a very, very challenging period of time, hasn't it? And I think that what happens over
absolutely.
the Christmas New Year period, we stop and we reflect, and that reflection's not always everything that we want to see. In fact, some of it could be pretty ugly. Or, gee, I set myself this goal last New Year and
Mm-hmm.
I'm still fat and ugly, so what can I do, you know? But
Please
the truth of it,
don't say that.
it has been a really, really difficult year in so many ways, but so many years
Mm.
are. And it's,
Yeah,
I've got a theory, and I have no science behind this whatsoever on this particular thing,
yeah,
but it seems to me that life is definitely secular, and that you
yes,
have the good years and you have the bad years. But the thing about the bad years, Tony, is that they are the best years in disguise. They're very well
yes,
disguised, but they're the years where you're doing your learning.
yes. Years
And
of,
boy,
of,
did I
of
had to go
growth.
there this month. Like I had to go there
Yes.
because my wife had to order me out of bed. I was gone. I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. I'm nah, 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 nah. But
I'm
my
hiding in
darling
my
wife,
corner. I'm
hiding in my
staying in my
corner, just
closet.
that's right, not being me, not owning who I am and where I've been, and that's just comfort zone stuff to a great
Yes.
degree. It's not helped. It has not helped. Let's be clear. It's not helped by things such as family pressures, financial issues, and dare I say it, for the possibility of being pillared, but the overuse of food and alcohol and other substances is certainly not
Yes.
useful over the Christmas period either.
Yes.
But I think the
Yeah.
most powerful thing when you put into all of that is the reassessment of your life right now. And in America, where, wow, I mean, what is not in play in America at the moment? I mean,
I have to agree.
the Los Angeles, the hospitals are overrun with COVID. The vaccine program is slow. All sorts of bewitchery is going on in context of the political situation. I mean, today we're
Yes.
listening. If you're listening in Georgia, hi, you've had an election today, a runoff election for the Senate, and I hope
Gosh, I
that.
hope that's going okay for those Georgians. I really hope that's going okay.
Look, I think they've done. I think they really have done a fantastic job of defending democracy
Yes.
in that people came to the polls, and I do hope that everybody who was entitled to vote voted, and everybody who wasn't entitled to vote didn't vote. But I want you to
Didn't.
know that you are voting on behalf of the free world, Georgia. The free world
Yes.
needs you guys to get out there and do your thing, and whatever result comes out of it, that's the result. And I think your elected officials, who I will openly admit I am politically quite different from, but they have done a
Yeah.
magnificent job of defending the process and defending your right to vote and your right to decide. So whatever the outcome is, it is. But the whole world is looking for that stability, and I think this is one of the issues that we're seeing
Yes.
this Christmas in particular. We've got
Instability.
we've got instability, and can I say that's been stirred up from the top? If the most powerful
Yes.
job in the world, the most powerful man in the world is the President of the United States of America, when he goes dysfunctional, and quite frankly, I will say it, he should be removed from office under Section 25. He's not fit for office at this particular point in time. He may have
Yes.
before, but his behaviour post-election and the instability that that's caused and his lack of focus on
Yes.
the people of America, it really reminds me of
Yes.
Marie Antoinette. Let them eat cake. The peasants are dying because they have no bread.
Too
Well, let
bad.
them eat cake. And I think this is just feeds into it. So, but nevertheless, I'm full of praise for the Republican officials in Georgia who have stood their ground in the face of very, very difficult circumstances. And I feel that we're lucky that they are there. There's an awful lot wrong. There's a lot of
Yes.
wrong in just about every political system you want to look at. But the world
Yes.
looks to America for leadership. It's America that sets the standard with regard to all our leaders around the world, by which we
Yeah.
judge them. We judge them against the gold standard of
Yes.
American democracy. Do they acknowledge electoral wins and losses? Is there a peaceful
Yeah.
transfer of power? And if you're in Washington tomorrow, there's going to be an interesting day there. It's probably an interesting day today. I haven't been following the news. I've been, too busy working
Yes.
on what I do over here. But
Yeah.
when the people of a city are told not to go to into the city because they're not that, please don't engage with protesters that just simply might be there
Yes.
looking for a fight.
Yes.
Really, these are not the Americans
Mm-hmm.
that I know. These are not the Americans who I have had a very close association with America since 1976 when
Yes.
I hosted an AFS guy from Oklahoma, and we're still friends today. Still, I'm very
Yes.
much in my thoughts at the moment because his work colleagues got
Yes.
COVID-19, and he, like me, is no spring chicken anymore. So we're on tenterhooks
Yeah.
hoping that he doesn't get it. But it's what I'm saying is that when we look at America, when I look to America, I look to see the glowing example of freedom and freedom for each and every single human. It's in the Constitution, and well, I hope 2021 will deliver more.
Is a
But I
better year.
think this all feeds into an overall feeling of why bother? I'm just going
Of
to pull the covers up.
yes.
I'm done. I'm
I
toast.
was just going to say, John, because I have so many American friends now, it's often on my mind. Americans and America is so often on my mind, and I feel it acutely in my soul when many of them are suffering as they are at the moment, or they're dealing with turmoil or a pandemic that is effectively out of control.
Mm,
They're also battling these conspiracy theories and myths and the perspectives that they may not hold true to. And I, like you, feel things very deeply. And my first port of call when I have a break and I'm not so busy. So I love to be busy. That keeps my mind on track. But when Christmas comes and I'm not so busy, then all the things that bother me normally come home to play. And I'm a bit like John. I like to go into my corner and hide, or I binge on Netflix. And in an attempt to numb what I know that I should perhaps be giving thought to. And I know that constantly my mind was going to, oh my God, what is going to happen in America? This amazing country with these amazing people, and so many of them fractured, at odds, dissension, racial inequality, and a president who's playing golf while COVID rages unchecked. And a
mm.
lot of, I've been challenged on this by a number of my acquaintances in America who have quite blank told me that the virus is a hoax. Now, from my rational medical nursing perspective, there's no way that this can be a hoax. So I challenged myself to try and put their perspective on the thought that the virus is a hoax. And I don't know about you, John, but I struggled to do that. I struggled for the first time. I'm usually quite good at being able to think in someone else's mind and from someone else's perspective, but on this issue, I could not. Do
You
you
know,
find that, John?
yeah, look, I do, and I come at this from a business and political perspective rather than a medical one.
Yes,
But the most core thing in any stable business is statistics. And if you look at the
yes,
statistics and the probability of all of those medical staff all running
yes.
around wearing masks, pulling up refrigerated trucks
Manufacturing,
for the bodies,
yes.
all, if this is a hoax, I mean,
Yeah, it's,
numerically it's impossible, but it must have been pulled
yeah,
off by God. Maybe God is
yes,
laughing at us. Maybe it was the great organizer of destiny that is. I mean, there's
yeah,
a lot of things in here, but it is this lack of stability at a time where it is desperately needed, not just in America, but around
yes,
the
yes,
world. So the world is
yeah,
looking. So if you're feeling lonely, guys, you're not alone. We're missing a president as well. We're missing the leadership. We're
yes,
missing,
yes,
where we would have
yes,
ordinarily expected America to step in, like it did in the world wars, and it brought order.
yes,
It saved the Western world. They lead. We always look to America for leadership.
yes,
Here we are in these times, and if we look at the world leaders, the ones that are getting things done, well, Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, and you've
yes.
got to say to yourself, in the free world, if those are your leaders, that's a bit of a sad situation. But I want to bring it
Concern.
back to the Andreia method. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to what we
Yes,
do, right? Because I think this
yes,
is a really important thing. What got me out of bed was knowing what was going on in my head, was knowing
yes.
how my stinking thinking was affecting me. And yes, my
What a
lovely wife
great
did put,
description. Thinking. That's
yeah.
a great description.
And yes, my
Agreed.
darling wife did say to me, Hoi, you know better than this. And we all need reminding. We all need
Yes,
reminding. That's why the Andreia method presents circular. It's a wheel because
yes,
I all of a sudden, instead of being up and strong and able, and people go, wow, how can you be affected by this? No, 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 no. My brain plays tricks on me too. And
Yes.
I think that we need to talk about these things. We need to be out there and open and say, the reason I know about the Andreia method, the reason I was able to write this, co-write this with Tanya, she did the writing, I did the editing production. The reason
Yeah.
we were able to do that was because we know what it is to be in that hole. And we recognize
Yes.
it. We're very familiar with it. And we realize what we built for ourselves was a ladder that essentially said,
To
okay,
get
yeah, it doesn't matter how far down this hole is, I know what the next
that
rung
there's a
is.
ladder.
Yeah, and the
Hmm.
next rung is really, it's find something to be grateful for, and it doesn't matter what it is.
It
And in
doesn't,
fact, the
does
more
it?
simple, the more simple thing it can be, the better. The fact that you are laying in a bed, be
Yes.
grateful that you're not laying on the ground. Because
Yeah.
there's plenty out there, and if you are laying on the ground, you're alive. Maybe it's that you're taking breath, drawing breath. Find
Yeah.
find something, and then go about creating more things to be
Yeah.
grateful for. Take another step. Get out of bed. Have breakfast. Tell your wife you love her.
I have
Tell your
to,
mate in the tent next door that you care about the fact that he got out of bed this morning.
yes.
That matters. That'll make a difference
Yeah.
in the world. Give him something to be grateful for. So this
Yeah.
is and it's a step by step reality. But the more we know about how our mind creates our thoughts inside our brain, because there's the
Yes.
two things, there's the biological brain, the organ, and then there's the mind, which is the electronic
Hmm.
movement that's going on in there, if you want, the better off you are, because you can
Yeah.
recognize your state. And that's a lot about what we do in the Andreia method. In that area of discovering your default, we teach people how you take information on. And the election and COVID-19, if you want to talk about this issue with regard
Yes.
to people calling it a hoax, they're looking at it through their filters.
Yes.
They are
Yes.
seeing it through their filters, their unique filters. And to them, I'm absolutely certain they really believe it. It's very, very hard for me to see, very hard for you to see, but we're not looking at it through
Yes.
their filters, right?
Yeah.
And it can be quite extraordinary as to what it is. I'm sure that the Proud Boys and the people that are going to Washington to protest against the results of the election truly believe in what they're doing. But that
And
doesn't help.
we would defend their right to protest. However, in defending that right to protest, I think that you have to have some sort of ability to look at both sides. If you're going to protest loudly and proudly on something, then you better make sure that you've looked at both sides of the story. Do you
Okay,
think?
so I'm going to agree with you there. I think you've got to
Yeah.
earn the right to protest. I'm
Yes.
sorry,
Yes.
like you can't, you don't, you have the right to say your piece. You do not have the
Yes.
right to shut the other side up, and
Correct.
that's not okay. If you really want to learn, the goal of protesting should be to learn. I we People are protesting. They're saying that the election was stolen, and
Yes.
yet there have 90 federal judges, something like 90 federal judges have ruled against this. Now,
Yes.
again, what are the probability 90 federal judges are going to get it
Getting
wrong?
together and
Do you
agreeing with
think
each other.
Brad Raffensperger wants to ruin his career prospects as a politician in the
Yep.
Republican Party? I don't think so. Brian Kemp,
So,
you could not find a closer ally of Donald Trump. If there was a legitimate legal way for Trump to have been declared the winner of Georgia, I
they
kind
would
of
have
think the
found it.
Republican Party would have found it. Now, so if you're going to go and protest, fair enough, have your point of view, but go with your ears on. Let's talk
Yes.
about putting your ears on and your eyes on and just put that question mark into it, Toni. You know?
Yes,
The election was
this
stolen.
was,
Becomes the election was stolen? Huh.
and it's a question. Really? Is that really true? Is that really what I'm seeing? And we've talked about this in terms of some of the modules in the Andreia method, and it's looking at life through a question rather than having a hard nodes this or that. If you've got a strong opinion, and I'm a person who holds strong opinions, but each one of those opinions has been carefully considered, explored, researched, and understood from hopefully both sides of the story. So if I make a statement, I am making that statement from a learned position, not a that's my default position. And that's what the Andreia method teaches you as part of the work that you do about questioning what your mind's telling you.
Yeah.
Is that really true?
Yeah. And
Can that be true?
there's a bit of a quick litmus test on this.
Yes.
If you're angry, doubt yourself.
Yes.
If you're acting from love, then okay,
Okay.
go. It's a pretty simple litmus test. But if something's made you angry, that's time to step back and it's time to doubt yourself and time to do
Yes.
more research because anger is generated from fear. So if you're angry,
Yes.
that you are acting out of fear. And you might say, well, I'm righteously angry. I'm righteously angry. That's because you're fearful
Yes.
for something or something. People get righteously angry about abortion. Okay?
Yes.
And they base that because an unborn child is going to lose their life. I get it.
Yes.
Okay? I'm just simply saying, step back, become educated. You're not going to actually convert anybody to your way of thinking by force. I think it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Samuel Butler in something like 1857. He said, "A man convinced against his will is of his opinion still."
Yes.
So you can't make
That's a
somebody.
great quote.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
you can't make somebody change their mind. Right? You have to really,
No,
and we talked about this the other day
we
when we
did.
talked about role modeling. Right? You want somebody to
Yeah.
change their mind? Show them why
Yeah.
living life the way you think is going to make the difference. Show the people of America
Yeah.
that they're going to be safe. That a Republican
Yes.
president would have been a better choice than Joe Biden, and then maybe in 2024 you'll get a Republican president because
You'll
the
get the
American people
opportunity.
will, as a whole, the 81 million that voted for Biden might, or 7 million extra over Trump, might change their minds, and you might get a
Yeah.
different outcome. But yelling at them, abusing them, causing mayhem
Yes.
and
Or
civil disruption
inciting
is very
is
unlikely to
not.
actually change the opinion of liberals, at least, and I doubt it. The conservative people I know, because my friends in Oklahoma are about as conservative as you get, right?
Yeah.
Mother God and apple pie, these people are absolutely flag waving Americans. When I was in their small town back in
Yes.
2003, I was there just after George W. Bush stood on the aircraft carrier and declared victory in Iraq. Okay,
Yes.
nearly every single house had the flag out the front, just streets of it.
Yes.
It was amazing to see. So
To
incredibly
see.
patriotic people, but I do not think for one moment that they would countenance violence, political violence, in the United States, and that in
Yeah.
reality they accept that every human needs the opportunity to thrive. It is the most amazing country, but there is definitely problems, and there are definitely people who are disadvantaged. And history teaches
Yeah.
us that if you persistently disadvantage and then systemically exclude particular groups in your society, then
Yes.
don't be surprised if bad things happen. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that the conversation needs to happen. And again, this is again the sort of thing when you start to understand how your mind works, you start to be able to learn how to speak your truth. Now, if you speak your truth with love,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You really believe that what you're saying, and you do it with compassion in the context that this really is going to make a difference for people,
Yes.
then it won't come out as an attack. It won't come out as anger. It'll come out as caring. That's not to
Yeah.
say that the person receiving it is going to accept it that way, but
Yeah.
go to point A. Don't be the jackass in the room. If they blow up at you because you said, well, look, hey, 90 federal court judges have said there was no problem, and
Yes.
I, I, Tom Hawley himself said 12 months ago that the idea of setting aside an election because it doesn't suit your political desires, well, that's a novel approach, he said. Well, I guess he's taken novel
Yes.
approaches now. So the
Yes.
hypocrisy of it is so evident. It's evident around the world, and it undermines the United States of America. It undermines the
I
power,
agree.
the
It
soft.
comes
We talk
back
about
to
soft
that, doesn't
power.
it?
It's absolutely massive, and it makes me personally very, very sad.
I agree.
I'm there for the American people. Not that I can do anything other than speak my truth
Talk.
with love
Yes.
from where I am at and share what I can to help people. But I also so I want to get onto a little bit about, so it's the new year, and
Yes.
people want to make a change in their lives, and they've not been able to do it in the last 12 months or the 12 months before that or whatever.
For that or before that.
This is where you might want to go and start the Andreia method. Go to the Andreia method. You can find more details about it at Andreia.solutions. That's Andreia.solutions. That's it.
That's it.
And in there you'll see a button that says learn more and purchase. And you go in there and that shows you the curriculum of what we do in the Andreia method. The first thing, again, I'll briefly go over it, Toni, if you don't mind, is we do
You
discover
know
your
that
default, where you're at, where you're thinking, what's going on, how are you getting your information, what filters are you looking
are
through.
you at the point of time where you can't get out of bed and you might be listening to this program from bed thinking, how the heck do I make a change? I don't want to go through 2021 stuck in this place. So if
Mm.
you're stuck wanting to make a change, then that's why John and Tanya created this course to give you the tools and the steps to help you make that change. Because we all
And
need help, don't we, John?
yeah, we do. We all do. We all need a methodology. We need a plan.
Yes,
It says in the Bible, and God will bless your plans. Well, here's a plan. Here's a plan on how you can
here's a
change your life.
plan.
Now, it's not just the people that like me with their blanket over their head and needed their wife to
Yeah,
kick them in the butt and get them out of the bed and move on. It's not just them, because I'm
yes,
halfway down the journey, or probably a little bit more. I'd like to think a
yes.
little bit more, but I'm a long way down the journey. But what are the big thing that got
But
me out
you
of the
had
bed
to
was
start somewhere.
yeah, I had to
John, you
start
had
somewhere,
to
and
start.
the point was I wasn't starting from pull the blanket over my head. I was starting from a big fat thing called denial that I
Yes,
was very unhappy. Come this time of the year, I
yes,
would look and go, "Oh my God, I've got another year of that shit ahead of me," and I just can't
yes.
even contemplate it. It's like, you know,
It's a
that's
horrible
that's
feeling,
soul
isn't it,
destroying. You
John?
know, we particularly, and this is apparently
Yes.
something that's rather apparent in middle-aged men, because we've
Oh,
been well, it's what we do. Apparently, it comes down to being driven and driven and driven and driven. There's a couple of articles here in Australia, one in the Australian and the other one I can't. I think it was in the Herald or something like that, about
yes,
men who to the whole world look as if they've got everything. Well, that was me.
yes,
I had I had
The
Jamie
outward
Packer as my
success.
gardener because I looked out over the Crown Casino from my apartment and drove a Lexus and
Yes.
da 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 da. Had all that stuff, right?
Yes.
Still wasn't happy because I didn't like who I was being, had to be that person to garner success for in that world. And it was
Yes.
required of me to make a change. Now, I went through a crash and burn process. I did a burnout.
Yes.
I did a burnout and
Yes.
nah, I can't do this anymore.
Mm.
Stuff it. I don't care about the consequences. And it cost me
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of dollars, I might
Yeah.
add. So
Yeah.
just think about the
Yeah.
cost of the crash, right? Before we tell you the cost of the course. Because if I had had this information beforehand, if somebody had come to
Yes.
me, and maybe I would have listened, and maybe I wouldn't, but maybe the person I would have listened to is
The
someone who's been there
option would
and
have
done
been
that,
there.
and actually has climbed the ladder, been to the top of the tree, found it found it going, not a hell of a lot
Yeah.
up here,
Yeah.
then said, listen, I need to change my life. And I did. As I say, I'm offering people in the Andreia method and in one-to-one coaching, I'm offering them an opportunity to take a look at the way in which their life is operating. If it's not working for them, I can almost guarantee you it's not working for the people around you, whether they are telling you
Around
that or
them.
not. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not relevant. If it's not working for you,
Yeah.
chances are it's not working for your wife and your family, your boss, and your colleagues. You
Your
might think you've got a
employees.
great old face on there, but you're not 100% in the game. And that's why I urge people to get into the Andreia method, go and look at the website. Better still, click on the book a chat and come and have a chat to me.
Yes.
Okay? Because
Because
I'm
that's the
happy
other
to.
thing, John. You've gone into the coaching portion of helping people
Yeah.
from perspective that you've been there. You've done this, you know what works, you know what helps. You were that hugely successful international CEO that now helps people because
Yeah,
you've
it's
been
kind of
there.
crazy, isn't it? Like, oh, gee, he failed. Oh, that's why he's sitting here doing this. He's a big
No.
failure, loser. And well, I want to address it. I'm going to call it out and put it on the table because that's the ugly
Okay.
thing. People go, well, what is it? Well, you know what? The truth is, I now live the life that I choose to live. I
Yes.
drive. I drive the car. I drive because I've got to figure that's what I want. I live in a beautiful
Yeah.
home in the outer suburbs
Yes.
of Brisbane with views for 120 k's out my window. So,
Yes.
and I do what I want when I want. So I want to make absolutely clear
Yeah.
this is not because I'm not doing this because
You've lost or you're
I
yeah.
lost. I know the mental toll, and I'm telling you now, the financial toll cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah.
To do the Andreia course, $397. You can do it online.
Yes.
$397. If that might
Could
change your
save
life
you
around, it's
and
incredible
save you lots.
value. If you hire me as a
Isn't it?
coach, if you hire me as a coach, it's going to cost you $12.97 a month if I have spaces
Yes.
available. But Tony, as I've said on the show a few times, and I'll say it again now, somebody wants to simply say hello to me, pick my brain, see whether they actually want to spend time with me, go to the Book of Chat
Yes.
part on Andreia. If, on the other hand, they want to get serious about changing their lives now or getting sorted out as to where they want to go and what their life is, because often you just get this feeling, well, I don't know what I want, but I know it ain't this. I want out of here. I just don't know which way to go. Well, I would suggest what you do. If
That's
you're that person,
that's a bit of your
you
specialty, isn't it, John?
I think
You
so. It
kind of
seems to be works
specialize
that way.
in. I was going to say, I know this from my personal friendship with John, that if you are looking at your life and going, hell no, I don't want my life, I don't know what's going on, but I don't want life to look like this forever and a day, then just jump on a call with John because he will sort that shit out.
Well,
quite
we'll
frankly.
certainly get deep into it, because if the people want to take up, if listeners want to take up the offer now and email me at John at Andreia, JOHN at Andreia, ANDREIA .solutions,
Yes.
and say, hey, I heard you on radio, Tony, and I would love to book a 2 hour session with you. I'll send you a link,
Yeah.
and we can
And that
take it from
won't
there. And
cost you anything
I will give you
except
that two
time.
hours for free. I will give you
Yeah.
2 hours coaching for free around what it is you want to be coached around. And at the end of that time, you'll decide whether you want to hire me or not. I'm pretty
Yeah.
happy that I've got about 100% rate now, so it doesn't
Yes.
matter. But it's free, and if you walk away, that's fine. Because some people come and they just need that conversation, and then that's
Yes.
it. They don't need anything else. Some people come and they go, oh, okay, but you've got this online course. I go, yeah. So get stuck in
Yeah.
that and email me if you've got any problems, if there's any issues that you want to talk
Yes.
about, or you want to take. Every single person is different, but what we really can do is
Yes.
be that person outside of your world that can help you see what's going on. We're in the helicopter above it. I mean, I've had people say to me, oh, my wife, she's great at keeping me to account. Well, there's two things about your wife. She either loves you or she hates you. And either way, she's emotionally involved with you. So it's
Yes.
not exactly an unbiased position. I don't care about you. Well, I do, but I don't care about your personal. Certainly don't care about your wife. I don't care about your
Yes.
husband. I care about
Yeah.
you. I care about you getting to where you were born to go to. I care about you getting out there and being who you were born to be, not who you've been told to be, because most of us are living a life of, when we're unhappy, living a life of doing what we've been told to be.
Yes.
Here in Australia we have rugby league teams, and I know in America they have the basketball and the NFL.
National
So
football.
yeah. So if you find yourself a Patriots fan in a Colts family, not good. Worse than a Cowboys family
Yeah, that's
apparently, 'cause,
hard.
right?
That's
And you just
hard.
yeah. And I use that just as an analogy. If you're in the wrong spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you need to learn to talk about people and listen. It's just the way it is. I'm afraid. I'm. That's where I was born, and that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
Often just the communication. This is the other thing you'll learn through Andrea. You will learn how to speak to your loved
Those
ones. You
skills.
will learn to communicate with them, how to speak your truth, to inform them of who you really are. And that's part of the process, Tony, because often, well, not often, we have always trained the people around us to react to us. It happens from the moment we meet them.
It does.
And I'm including
Mm-hmm.
my mum in this, my darling mum. She trained me to react to her the
Hello,
way
John's mum.
hey mum. She trained me by bringing me up. And then when I became an
Yes.
adult, I trained her to treat me in certain ways. So this is just a reality. It's what we animals do. And when you want to change, if all of a sudden you're not that person anymore, then that strikes
Yeah.
fear and amongst those people around you. They
Into.
go, oh, hang on. And this is partly what we're seeing in the split in the Republican Party, because there were people there who will say, hey, I thought that you were a dyed-in-the-wool Republican and yet you voted for Biden. I
Yes.
mean, talk about voting for the swamp monster, What are you
Mm-hmm.
doing? And people are doing things that are different. People are being forced to do different things because of COVID-19. I mean,
Yes.
what do you do? What do you do when you run out of money?
Yeah.
And there's a pandemic out there and you've got 3 kids.
You
Look,
can't go to work.
I'm not saying that I've got all the answers to this, but you sure as heck want to be thinking that the government's focusing on your needs.
Yes.
So,
And not its political aspirations.
and I think this is what's going on. And as I say, the idea that COVID-19 is a hoax. Well, I mean, never mind the number of languages you'd have to speak, because it's in every country of the world.
Yes,
So
it is.
it's impossible. It's impossible. Are the number of deaths in America True. Well, I don't know. I know that here in Australia, I think in total we've had around 28,000 cases. I think there are fewer than
Yes,
100 or so here in Australia at the moment. I think there's none in
not
Queensland
yes,
where
none
where
in
we are
Queensland at
sitting.
the moment.
So there is, and if you look at that on a radio ratio base, we should have hundreds of thousands of people sick and tens of
That's
thousands
right.
of people dead.
Dead,
But
but we
we don't.
don't.
So I think our government's sitting there and going, oh well, we'll finish all the protocols we need to do before we start vaccinating, so as that we'll make sure that when we use the vaccination that we can tick it off like any other
No.
vaccination. And I think that's part of also what Australia needs to do. So as other countries around the world that have been forced into using the vaccination as a matter of urgency, can at least look and say, well, Australia is very well equipped to do the research and all the
Yes,
rest of it. So they've carried on and finished the job if you want. That's the
I
beautiful thing
actually
that we have
think
here. So, yes,
yes.
the pandemic has been mishandled in the United States. And well, as I say a fish stinks from the top, from its head.
The best thing, John. I
Well, I'm
want
just
to go
sorry.
Back.
It's sad. It's sad because I
It's
don't
great.
wouldn't show
Yeah,
anybody.
I know.
But
I know.
I
I want to just
I'm
quickly I actually just wanted to quickly go back to one of the key components of the Andrea method, which is around helping you to communicate with the people around you in a way that helps you speak your truth. Because having walked through 2020 and all its challenges, um, I know that this is something that lots of people struggle with. So even if you went and did the Andrea method just to learn about how to communicate from your truth with your family and loved ones, that's worth that's gold. And from my perspective, that would be one of the key reasons to even dabble with the Andrea method, because this year I've had to put distance between family members that are extraordinarily close to me, simply because they could not abide by the way that I wanted to be treated. And it was not okay to continually treat me in a way that is not good for my soul. And so, for the first time in my life, I had to say, well, this is no longer working. This needs to stop. I'm going to put in this boundary for at least 6 months where we're not going to talk. And I'm going to sit back and continue to work on myself and what I think and what I believe. And then we'll come back and just see what's changed or what hasn't changed. It's a very scary process to manage. And I'm so glad that there are courses like the Andrea method that can help you do some of those things and do them well. And if the course doesn't have the answer, then you've got John to go back or Tanya to go back and say, hey, I've done this, this, and this. I've looked at this. This is not quite working. Can you help? Do you
you know
know, like,
Tony, I'm going to jump in there, and everybody's
yes,
circumstances are different, and
yes,
sometimes you do need to take that space because you're not being heard, and as I said to you
yes,
before, you for you to stand there and then demand that they listen to you your way, and well, now
correct.
you're making yourself the jackass. Don't do that, right? So
That's
you
right.
you
And
come in with
that was the
love,
that was
you
the
communicate with
catalyst.
love,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
if somebody else wants to reject that, then yes, withdrawal is an option. But here's the thing:
Yeah.
unless you're a twin, who came into the world with you? And even if you are a twin, who's leaving with you?
Just
Very
you.
unusual. Basically it's you. So you're
Yes.
here against all odds. You are statistically impossible. You are here, but you are here for
Yes.
your reason, for whatever it is, whatever we are or might not be. I'm reading a book at the moment, The Case Against Reality, which is very interesting, and
Fascinating.
it's about how how our perceptions have developed through natural selection. Is it that they give us a better grip
Yes,
on reality, or are in fact they deluding us because the only thing
they're trying
our
to
natural
protect us.
selection is, oh, they just want us to procreate. That's
Mhm.
it. They want to keep.
Yeah.
So so this is, I haven't got far into it, but the gist of it and what we talk about in the Andreia method is that life is a story. It is
Mm.
all a story. The question is whether
It
you're
is.
taking responsibility for writing your own story or whether you're not.
Yeah,
In your case, you've taken responsibility for writing your own story. Yes, there are consequences, but you are taking
there are.
responsibility for it, and you create the possibility of change. If, on the other hand,
Yes.
you had not taken responsibility and had
Mm.
just allowed things to be where they were, then you don't create
Yeah.
the possibility of change. And this is what this conversation is
Yeah.
all about. You've created the possibility of
Yes.
change. It'll be what it turns out to be, but at least the
That's right.
possibility is there. The genesis of it
Is
is
there?
there because you've taken
Yeah.
responsibility and you've done it carefully in alignment with who you are, speaking
Yeah.
your truth with the right language, and that is the creation of you being Toni Lontis that I know.
Yeah.
That's the
Because I
love
didn't
that
want
you
to
give.
respond. Yes. I didn't want to respond in anger and angst anymore because I absolutely believe that a loving response allows people that opportunity to change. Whereas if you are always responding in angst and anger, there's hardly any likelihood that anyone's going to do any changing, is there?
There is
And
no likelihood. I mean,
yeah,
everybody's at
yeah,
their polar opposites throwing spears at each
yes,
other. I mean, the
yeah,
ultimate lack of conversation is war. We send other people to
yes,
fight each other to settle our differences. Well,
yeah,
I think we as a species need to grow past that. Whether we can, well, we'll find out. But
agreed.
it starts by understanding by each and every individual becoming enlightened as to how their brain and their mind works, how they got to where
Yes,
they are, who they really are, and really then stop and go, okay, what now? And this applies to tremendously successful. You're listening to this perchance, and you're not terribly depressed, and you're thinking, well, I'm pretty
I'm
happy with
okay.
my life.
Hmm.
Here's a tip:
That's
you learn
wonderful.
you learn what you. Oh, great! Congratulations! I'm happy for you. You learn the steps of the Andreia method, though. Spend your $397. I mean, yeah, thank you very much. But I guarantee you, it will take you to the next level. It will
Mm.
give you
Absolutely.
information that will work for you to take you to
Agreed.
whatever it is that you want to be. The methodology is pretty much the same. It's about understanding. The thing that stops most people is what's between their ears. What we do is we
Yeah,
coach for what's between your ears and
yeah,
give you the tools. Now, the reason we give a lifetime membership to this is because it is a lifetime journey. It is the Andreia method is a course to live by. And I want to tell the listeners again where Andreia comes from. Andreia is one of the Grecian virtues. It's the virtue, I think it was Plato that said it's the virtue that guarantees the rest.
yes,
Because
yeah,
it is the virtue of being willing to take yourself on, no matter how bad you're
mm,
feeling, no matter how satisfied with yourself you're feeling. You are prepared to say,
yeah.
no, I'm going to have a look at
I
that.
was going to
I'm,
say,
I'm going to
even
go,
the
well,
most satisfied person
yeah,
has something to learn. Even the
that's right. And
most
it's your virtue
happy
of being
person,
prepared to examine yourself and move on and
yes,
try and improve that again. Hence the name Andreia. That's what we're
yeah,
encouraging the population to do. And my mission is to have everybody in the world do it, which is 7
yes,
billion people counting and all the rest of it. And it's probably never
yes.
going to happen, but it's a worthwhile journey.
Don't
It's sure as heck
say
beats
that
selling widgets.
because, and I want to remind listeners too that John and Tanya co-created this course, but John still goes back and does this forth and reviews the methodology himself still all the time. So even though he's the creator, he still goes back and does the course because it's got so much, so many elements and help. And as you grow and change, your perspective grows and changes, and something that may not have made sense before will suddenly be the light bulb moment you might need to make the change that you want to see in your life.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened coming out of Christmas. I'd given myself too much time to
Yes.
get inside my head, too much time to focus on all the negatives, and too much time. And then the overwhelm came, and then I said, no, come on, John. Come on.
Yeah.
You know better than that. You know what's going on here. So you can then bring your logical mind to play and make decisions and get yourself moving again. And then all of a sudden things start
Yes.
feeling better again. And away you
Yeah.
go. And you go and you do what you need to do. But really, people, please go and check it out. It's at Andreia, Andreia.solutions. The course consists of 15 or 16 videos. There are 12 lessons. Each one is a video lesson, and then there's a workbook that goes with it. Then there's
Yes.
also a mind map, so people who are visual learners, they can look at that and they can see what that'll picture. The whole thing comes as an MP3, so you can listen to it while you're driving down the road. We've tried to use as many central inputs as we possibly can
For adult
on it.
learning, to facilitate adult learning.
Because and then the other thing about it is there is a lot in it. There is an awful lot in it, and the
There is.
videos move along at a fair clip. So please,
Yes.
we at time you'll see us say, and maybe this is not coming together for you at this point in time, but bear with us. Keep going and keep going, and it will. It starts to make sense. We initially put it in a circle, not because it's continuous, because it is, but because you can jump into the subject at any point. It's
You
like,
don't have to
okay,
do it consecutively, is what you're saying.
we think
So
it works
jump in
consecutively, but if the thing is that it is such a circle. And I want to say that this is Tonya and I have done the thousands of hours of reading. We've done the research, and we continue to do so that we can continue to update and make this better. And we're inviting people to come in and hook up with Andreia, Andreia.Solutions, and get themselves across this information that is an important investment in their lives, so that they can go out there and impact, influence, and oh goodness me, I forgot my own slogan. Impact.
Inspire.
That's right. Inspire,
impact the world.
impact the world by being who they are born to be, and who they decide to be. By the way, that is also something. You're born to be who you are now.
Yeah.
You get there and you go, I decided this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because of these reasons.
Yeah.
So that's
you can do it.
And Happy New Year, everybody.
So I know that process of wanting better in your life and seeking out to be the person that you were born to be, that works. So you're listening to a nurse who was told that nursing was what she should do. I did that for 35 years, and then I wrote a book. So guys, you're not talking to people who haven't walked the talk, because we've done this. And so if that's an inspiration or a pointer to get you started on living your best life, and I can absolutely, undoubtedly just take something as simple as an online course with the Andreia method and get started on something. Don't waste another moment and another year sitting in what you're not happy doing. You're not happy with the person you are. You're not getting the results you wanted to be. You're not the person you knew or feel that you should be, because it makes all the difference. Both John and I are here on this show because we dared to take on ourselves. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not
We
speaking.
dared to change our lives, and for me came at great personal cost, but it need not come at great
Yes.
personal cost to you.
Correct.
get ahead of the game,
I would
understand
say
what's
the
happening
same thing.
inside your head, and you can get all
Make a
that
change.
information for only $397 at Andreia Solutions, or don't even do that. Just go on, book a chat with
Email
me.
John.
Cost you nothing. John at
Yeah.
Andreia.solutions,
Solutions.
and we'll see
And
where that leads us to. But
yeah,
yeah,
on that note, I can't recommend talking to John personally high enough. So this is a guy with loads of world experience, loads of business experience. And if you just have a chat, you never know where that might lead. So that's John at Andreia Solutions, Andreia.solutions. And on that note, we are completely out of time. John and I will be back next week with our final in the series of The Power of You with John Williams. And excitingly, I think that John will be carrying on with his own show, but we will discuss and talk about that next week when we know more. So, audience, thank you so much for listening to the first show in 2021 of Radio Toni Everyday Business, The Power of You with John Williams. Don't forget to jump onto that website, Andreia.solutions. Find out how you can change your life in 2021. I dare you. We'll see you all next week, and bye for now.